Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Lawrence O'Donnell, in for Keith Olbermann. It is the most damning report yet about the state of the healthcare industry, one that confirms healthcare premiums will continue to rise with or without the Baucus bill, and that the current reforms being proposed do not do enough to contain costs. Our fifth story on the countdown, the study in question was actually commissioned by the health insurance industry lobby. Without intending to, the giant companies that are trying to maintain their stranglehold on health care may have made the most compelling argument yet for a public option. With the Senate Finance Committee set to vote on its bill tomorrow, the health insurance industry is now warning against the incomplete reforms the committee is considering because, among other things, they will leave 20 million people uninsured. And the insurance industry insists, I should say promises, premiums for the rest of us will still go up under the plan. Not that they wouldn't go up without reform, just that they'll go up much more if the bill should become law. The AARP said today that the study is not worth the paper it's printed on. The California Nurses Association, the largest nurses union in the country, responded that our legislators should, quote, stop coddling a useless industry whose sole function is to make enormous profits from the pain and suffering of patients while providing little in return. The spokesman for the Democratic majority on the Senate Finance Committee called the report, quote, a health insurance company hatchet job, plain and simple. The White House adding, quote, this is a distorted and flawed report from the insurance industry and cannot be taken seriously. This so-called analysis appears on the eve of a vote that may eat into the insurance industry's profit. It conveniently ignores critical policies that will lower costs for those who have insurance, expand coverage, and provide affordable health insurance options to millions of Americans who are priced out of today's health insurance market or are locked out by unfair insurance company practices. But it's not as if the insurance industry thinks the Baucus bill cannot be saved. Its solution? Force millions more people to buy its insurance at government subsidy expense.
More on the cost. There is not a lot that really focuses on making coverage more affordable. We strongly support the insurance market reform so that everybody has guaranteed access to coverage. There are no more pre-existing condition exclusions. But to make it work, everybody needs to be required to participate, and we need to have system-wide efforts to make health care coverage more affordable.
And so the health care reform debate of 2009 has taken its latest ironic turn. Democrats in the House, the Senate, and the White House began this year's crusade by instantly giving up on universal coverage, giving up on Medicare for all, aspiring instead to cover little more than half of the uninsured. In the Clinton health reform crusade of 1994, universal coverage, coverage for all, was the daily rallying cry. But in the final act of this year's drama, it is oddly only the health insurance industry that is still pushing for universal coverage. When it gets this weird, it's time to call in MSNBC political analyst Howard Fineman, also senior Washington correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Good evening, Howard.
Hi, Lawrence.
A lot of twists and turns in this story so far, but to come to the point where it is the health insurance lobby only that is advocating universal coverage, that was not something you could have predicted at the outset of this year, could you?
No, you couldn't, and I think the health insurance industry needs to appreciate what they're really arguing for here, because everybody says, and that's what the administration has been trying to say when they are willing to talk about the public option, that it's only through competition with the public option that you can in fact drive health care costs down. What's really going on here, Lawrence, is that there is a battle going on for the band of profit in health care among the health insurers, the clinicians, meaning doctors, nurses, etc., another category, the hospitals, the drug manufacturers, and the medical equipment manufacturers. They're all fighting for that pie. And what's really happened is that the health insurance industry thinks that they're not getting their slice big enough because they don't have enough people to cover, and also because they feel that the Finance Committee did not lean heavily enough on those other stakeholders in the game. That's sort of what's going on here. There's a big fight for that band of profit.
Now, Howard, the White House echoed the AARP, saying this study isn't worth the paper it's printed on, but might they be playing this the wrong way? Might they not grab this study and say, look, this is proof that we need the public option. Use this study. Use the insurance industry's own prediction about what it will do as the reason why we need the public option.
Well, the thought occurred to me yesterday as I was listening to Karen Ignani, who's the head of the health insurance lobby here, make her complaint that she was driving right into that possible argument. But the thing is that the administration has been extremely wary to talk about the public option. Now, they will not promise the health insurers that it'll never happen. But you've not heard them really forcefully advocating at the White House for it. But you're right. This is the strongest argument you could make for it. They'd rather, yes, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, well, a new poll from CBS News shows that 45% of those surveyed, 45% of people with health insurance, believe that the health care reforms would have no effect on them personally. Now, it seems to me that this study is directed directly at those people, trying to get that 45% who think that this is going to be a harmless thing for them to worry that their premiums are going to skyrocket. Isn't that what they're aiming for here?
Sure it is, and the big question now is what they're going to do publicly about it. Are they going to mount another advertising campaign? Harry and Louise are currently occupied because they've been rented by the drug companies, but there might be another couple available that will be willing to scare everybody who has a health care plan about rising premiums. Sure. And it's been very interesting to watch all these different players in this game. They've tried to be cooperative until something really gets at their core interests. And it's possible that the health insurance companies are being a little too cute by half here. They haven't gotten the public option yet, and that's what they dread. If they overplay their hand here, they could end up reinforcing the chances of getting it.
Now, Howard, I've been saying all year that the so-called support from stakeholders in the reform effort has been a mirage, that these stakeholders, like the insurance industry, are with you right up until the point where you do anything that crosses them in any way. And so now the insurance industry has bolted. They may mount a big advertising campaign against health care reform. Who's next? Who else that the White House thinks they have on the team might abandon them, like, say, the pharmaceutical industry?
Yeah, well, I gave you the rundown of the players. I would keep my eye on the drug manufacturers, on Big Pharma. They did kick in $80 billion onto the table here, and they thought by giving that $80 billion up, that they would buy peace with the Congress all the way through the rest of the process. But in the Finance Committee, there was a 13-10 vote about allowing Medicare to charge or to negotiate drug prices. That's been defeated in the committee. It's going to come back again. If that gets anywhere near consideration again, expect Big Pharma to bolt.
You know, the White House, Howard, today said that they felt blindsided by the health insurance industry pulling this last-minute move. If they had just been watching Countdown, it would have been no surprise to them at all.
I'm sure true.
Howard Fineman of MSNBC and Newsweek, as always, great thanks tonight.
Thank you, Larry.